today's video we're going to be talking spiritual disciplines. So basically different habits that you can include within your life if you want to grow your relationship with God. Okay, so I'll be talking about 8 different habits. We're not going to waste any time. We're going to dive right in right away. Okay, so the first thing you could start with is prayer. And you're like, yeah, of course, prayer. But the truth is that there are different types of prayers, right? And of course, like one of the most important things you could do with prayer is to begin with thanksgiving, right? Before making your requests, before your confessions and everything, you want to begin prayer time by thanking God for all the wonderful things that He's doing in your life, right? Sometimes, when you're going through it, when you're, in the wilderness, you cannot finding things even to be grateful for. It's like an impossible task. But I would say even in those situations, there is always something to be grateful for, right? Even the fact that you're alive, the fact that you're breathing, the fact that your health is good, all of those little things, you have to look for ways to thank God, right? And then of course, praying in the Spirit. If you can't pray in the Spirit, then that is I always say that prayer is a spiritual prayer, right? Spiritual language. So automatically it's spirit to spirit connecting. You don't know what you're saying, but spirit to spirit, you're connecting to God, right? And the second one is fasting. I personally don't like to fast. Anyways, I think most of us don't, but I found that there are different types of fast, right? Depending on your upbringing, you may look at fasting as from morning to 6 p.m. and that's when you break your fast, But what I'm learning now, the church that I go to, the fasting doesn't have to be like that. You can break at 2 p.m., at 3 p.m., whatever time that you set for yourself, as long as you're taking that time to abstain from something, right? Could be food, could be something like your drink that you like, could be, you like coffee, could be fasting from drinking alcohol, social media, TV, like certain things, different things that you could just take time off away. And what you're doing with fasting is that you're taking that time to spend time with God instead, right? And this is one of the quickest ways we can grow our relationship with God, is when we're abstaining from certain things. So even though your flesh will not be happy, but your spirit will be very happy. So what I'm learning is that things that are good for the flesh, that are good for the spirit, and things that the spirit really likes, the flesh does not like, right? So that is a battle. That is a forever battle that as Christians we have to go through. But it's very, very important that as a Christian and you want to grow your relationship with God, that you need to take that time to fast, okay? And you can do different types of fasts at different times of your life, okay? And the third spiritual discipline is solitude. So this one we learn even in the Bible, Jesus after doing performing certain miracles, he would do, right? He would sort of disappear and be by himself, right? So it's very important. And what I found, especially if you're in a scenario right now where you feel as though, I don't know my prayer pace, or I don't know what my life is all about, then this is the best time for you to take time for yourself. Like solitude, is this the best time to do that? Because I find that when you take, even if it's 2 days or 3 days and you're alone, so no social media, no TV, and you're just like, God, this time is for you, and you worship and you pray and you meditate, journal, do those things, your purpose will be revealed. I feel like that is almost 100% guaranteed. Or even you could be in a space where you feel as you need to make a big decision and you don't know whether to take a right or a left, then that's also a very good time for you to just take time for yourself and a retreat, we can say, take a retreat and ask God that big question, and then your answer will be revealed to you by the end of that retreat, for sure. And I would also say that when it comes to solitude, it doesn't have to be as well that it's I'm going 3 days, I'm taking 3 days off, I'm taking 7 days away, just be by myself. Solitude can also just be within that, like a specific day, even if it's just a morning off, even if it's just like 30 minutes away or 15 minutes away, just like, God, this time is for you. Just you by yourself. It doesn't matter if you're married, right? You can do your devotion. Maybe you do your devotionals together. Yeah. So even if you're married, you could still have time just for yourself, just between you and God, right? Sometime during the day, right? And then our next spiritual discipline is Bible study. So what I found is that, personally, like let's say right now, the journey that I'm on, it's that perhaps, you go to church and those things. And then the thing is that when you're going to church, actually it's very good. As believers, we have to belong to a church. We have to have a place that we're going to, every Sunday or, whichever day your church has picked. But it's very important for that. But what I've found is that when you're going to church and you're listening, to the lead pastor, they are preaching the word and everything. What is happening there is that you are learning, or you could also be, let's say you grew up in a Christian Christian household, right? So in that scenario, it's like you're getting to know God through your parent, or even in church, you're getting to know God through your lead pastor, right? And both of those things, absolutely amazing. But for your spiritual growth, for you to, hear from God clearly, to know God's voice and all of those wonderful things, we have to know God for ourselves, not through our lead pastor, not through our parents, not through our, family or friends or, that sort of thing. We have to know God for ourselves. And I do think the best way or the quickest way we can do that is by reading his word, right? That is his love letter to us. I've heard someone say love letter, which I really love, but we have to get to know him for ourselves. And what I'm finding, even as I'm reading, like when I, I'm taking time and I'm reading the word, like I discover like it's revelations, right? Like different things I'm discovering by myself that I haven't heard a pastor say, I haven't heard anybody say it. I'm discovering those things for myself, right? And that is happening because I am reading the word, right? Very, very, very important. We have to, I do think it's very easy. I think our generation, the Gen Zs, the Gen As, we don't really want to be reading the word like that. We just want to go to church, want to worship, want to pray, and that's it, right? But we have to be intentional. If we want to grow spiritually, if we want to get closer to God, then we have to get time to read his word. Okay. And the next spiritual discipline is meditation. Meditation has gotten a bad rap. I think that, some people, feel like it's demonic and all of those things. But there are lots of references in scripture that speak about meditation. And it's very important that for us to take time by ourselves, in silence. And there are different types of meditation. There is quietness, there is visualization, and then there's also like making declarations, right? I will have in the description box Hour of Meditation that is led by Dr. Apostle Dr. Emmanuel Deusi. I will have it in the description box. It's really, really good if you struggle with sleeping, if you struggle with anxiety, if you struggle with depression, loneliness, all of those things. Like as long as if you're able to just tune in to that hour, whatever time that you have available, you can listen to that, and I promise you it will help you, right? It will teach you how to meditate. You will experience God for yourself, and all those things that you're experiencing, all those issues, I promise they're going to be resolved. Okay. And the next spiritual discipline is simplicity. So simplicity, I do think that with the TV and with social media and everything, we are bombarded with buying things, like it's like a consumer world, right? They're always trying to like buy, purchase, like things that you don't even need, things that you don't even use. You are still just accumulating, right? And simplicity, or sometimes you are buying certain things, not buying certain things, not because you want to buy, not because you like it, but because of what people will think. You're doing it because you want to impress people, those things. And simplicity as a spiritual discipline is simply, you can say it's like a minimalist sort of living, where it's not about being stingy, it's not about being frugal, but it's more of like, what is the reason? Like before you buying something, like what is the reason that you want to buy this thing? And also we have to look at our attachment to things as well. At the end of the day, when we think of idolatry, we think of like, oh yeah, it's like worship of like, people that worship these, gods and, different types of gods and those things. But no, idolatry is also just if you, something that you are attached to more than God, right? Could be a car that you have. Some people, they really love their cars and make sure that car is clean, like at all times, and those things. And you find yourself that, social media, those things that, God is like, I'm taking this away from you. You're like, no. Right? And of course, because it's a spiritual discipline, it's a practice, we don't get there overnight, right? It's a growth that we have to go through. But ultimately, we want to live lives where we're not attached to things, we're not attached to the material world, but rather attached to God and things that please him, doing things that please him. And if he's like, oh, this thing you need to give it away, we give it away, right? That is the ultimate goal when it comes to the spiritual discipline of simplicity. And the next spiritual discipline is service. So if you already belong in a home church and you are not serving, what are you waiting for? This one actually could also be volunteering. Like if you're called to that, to volunteer, or service is just service in any capacity. And what I've found is that, with this spiritual discipline of service is that even in like just in the world, right? Like, even with people that are not Christians, I've heard, Shady talk about this thing when it comes to purpose. I believe it's like a Japanese thing where they find like, how to find fulfillment in life, right? When it comes to your purpose. So purpose is, doing what you love, and then what can you be paid for, right? Because ultimately, and then what is this one? Doing what you're good at, right? Doing what you're good at. And then the fourth thing was what the world needs, right? So this is the service part of things. So ultimately, we have to be in service one way or the other for that true fulfillment. And yeah, so if you're in church, you can find a team that you could serve on with that team. Just, it's a way for you to, I look at it as working for God, sort of thing, unpaid most of the times. It's where true fulfillment will come from, and it's doing something that makes God happy, that pleases God, right? Wonderful. And then the last spiritual discipline that we're going to talk about today is celebration. So these spiritual disciplines, I didn't mention all, but I read them from the book Celebrating Discipline by Richard Foster. So these are the different disciplines that he mentions in that book. And the last one that he talks about is celebration, right? And something that's very important that he mentioned in this chapter of celebration is that, sometimes as Christians, we are, when sometimes we're going through a tragedy, it could be a loss or just something that is not good, right? And with this spiritual discipline, it's not about celebrating even when things are like really bad. It's not about that just because, oh no, God is good. Like, no, you just, fine, just be grateful, just, celebrate either way because God is amazing. No, it's not about that. When we're going through things, we're going through them, it's totally fine to not be celebrating, to go through the emotions and to ask God to heal our hearts and those things. But this is talking about just in general, like life as it is, like, when you get a promotion at work, you get a raise, it's someone's birthday, or, those things that are worth celebrating, then we should be celebrating, right? And it's different ways, like dancing, eating good food, singing, spending time with people that you love. Whichever way that you find that is good for you to celebrate, then it's very, very important that you do that, right? Because life is ups and downs. Things are going to happen. They just celebrate and thank God for it, right? Like, for example, even getting a job, like you just got a job, graduation, like all those amazing things. Some people do not take the time to celebrate at all because for them it's like go. Like it's like reaching another milestone after milestone after milestone. There is no break, nowhere in between to say, you know what, God, thank you. You know what, God, I'm going to take this day to celebrate. And he mentions that sometimes these things, it costs money. Or you're planning to make a big celebration, it will cost you, but it's that cost that is worth it at the end of the day, right? I hope these habits today bless you. These different habits that you can begin to implement in your life to get closer to God. I hope they bless you today. You can comment a habit that you have implemented in your own life to get closer to God so we can bless other people. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video today, and I'll see you next week. Bye.